Talk Radio. You're in to all things music.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome to Jackie's Groove. Hey guys, it's Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by Talk Radio Network. You're into all things music. Guys, I'm looking forward to today. Let me tell you why. Even though my in-studio guest today is a new friend to me, we go back musically years and years and years. He's working amongst millions of things, but he's currently working with this great legendary Hawaiian group called Kalapana. And we're going to talk more about that and tickets and such and where they're going to be playing in your area. And also, he's also part of a legacy. The music of Cecilio Capone, the music of C&K. He is, now that Cecilio has retired, John, and along with Blaine and Alex, have replaced that, went from a 2-part harmony down to now to a 4, which is amazing. So with that said, I'm trying not to sneeze here, and I'm getting myself together. So with that, guys, I want everybody to welcome with open arms and open ears to Jackie's Groove. Please welcome Mr. John Valentine. John, aloha. Welcome, brother.
Hey, how's it going, man? Aloha. Thanks for having me in your show.
Oh, thank you for accepting the invitation, brother. We go back a long way, man, and meaning the fact of, all the years. And it's so funny because as we talked a couple days ago, with all of my time that I've spent in Hawaii, from a 9-year-old keiki all the way up until, recent dates, and through all the clubs and all the great music, Nohelani Cipriano and Bernadette and all the groups, Aura, and the clubs like the Sting and the club like the Esprit Club. The point after,
oh man,
I can go down the line. I know you and I have crossed paths through the situation, and even I'm sure maybe even one time or another at Roxa. Now, people who don't know Hawaii know exactly what I'm talking about. So we're going to leave that alone right now. So, John, let's just dive into it, man. Let's talk about the start, man, when it started in the Philippines, when you were brought into this earth. And let's talk about the family. Let's talk about how the Valentine Hernandez family, how you guys had to sing for your meals, literally, not so much on the streets, but that's what happened to the family. You guys had to prove you had to do it with karaoke machines. So go with that said, just tell the fans out there all about growing up in the Philippines and then your pilgrimage to Hawaii.
Okay. Well, I was 9 years old when I finally arrived to Hawaii. This was supposed to be a stopover. We were supposed to move to San Clemente, but my mom was so funny. She said that if I lose any of your kids, I won't be able to find you in America. So we're going to stay on this island so I can find every one of you. So we ended up staying here. And then, my brothers tried to make a band. So they had a band, but they didn't pursue it. So I ended up playing the drum set and the bass and guitars when I was, at a young age, like 10 years old. So by the time I was 11, I was playing drums. And then at 12, I picked up the guitar. And then in high school, I was walking around with my guitar all over the place. And I hung around with the surfers. Then right after high school, I started performing professionally 1 year after with a friend of mine, Pat Miguel. And he called me up and said, hey, you want to make a duo? So we rehearsed for 2 months. And then this guy came over and his name was Jerry Martini. And I didn't know he was the sax player for Sly and the Family Stone.
Really?
And the songwriter. And so he saw us in Pat Miguel's bedroom, and we're practicing. We're performing Chick Corea, Spain, and some Al Jarreau stuff. And the guy said, "I'm gonna get you a gig as fast as possible. And then 1 week later, he got us a gig, and I've been performing ever since.
It's amazing because when you look back at all these groups that I just spoke about and so on and so forth, and with your group known as Night Splendor, if you remember,
that's right,
way back then, and so on, and I want to ask you a question, brother. You being a legendary performer and a sought after musician, sidecat, and also a lead man in Honolulu, when you were asked to join Henry Kapono, or Henry Hui Kapono, my boy, one of my best friend, when that came to you, when he came to you, or when Leslie came to you and asked that, I don't care how renowned you are, for you, a legend to join another legend, what was that feeling like when you knew you were actually to be singing songs that were the soundtrack of your life growing up in Hawaii?
What's funny? Until now, I just did a private event with me and Henry, and just the two of us, and we did an hour of C&K stuff. And I'm singing About You, and not thinking that he's right beside me. And then I hear, the second verse, I'm singing, and all the questions that I've asked, and then he comes, all the questions. Right. I'm like, I looked down beside me and like, oh my God, it's him.
Yeah, man.
So it's still surreal.
I got to be honest with you, man. My wife and I were sitting last night, and I was playing a video. I don't know if it was at the Blue Note in Honolulu or was somewhere where you guys were singing About You, and you and the guys. And my wife looked over at me and she smiled and she said, "No disrespect to C, but C&K's music never sounded that pretty." And just because of that situation, because look, I'm not going to sit there and begrudge Mr. Rodriguez. I joined C&K back in 1990.
Oh, wow.
Showing how far back. I was playing at the Blaisdell Arena with a great jazz band called Hiroshima, or Hiroshima, depending on how you want to call them. Yeah, with Danny Karamoto, Jun, and all the guys. And then a gentleman walked backstage and says, "Hey, man, there's a gentleman here who wants to meet you." And after the gig, you just kind of want to just, unsweat yourself, kind of want to, put a beverage down your throat and just not to be bothered. But he says, "Yeah." I go, "Who is he?" He goes, "It's Cecilio Rodriguez." I go, "Cecilio and Kapono?" And he said, "Bro, bring him back." So C came back, and we talked. He said, "Man, I really enjoyed the show. Long story short, we're embarking on a West Coast tour in California. Where do you live?" I said, "I live in Orange County." And he said, "You're familiar with the music?" I said, "I grew up on C&K. My sister was a huge fan." So he goes, "Well, I'm going to verify with my partner, Henry Kapono, if we want to add percussion, but we'd love to have you join us." Well, then a week later, I got a call from Henry, and as they say, the rest is history. And they gave me a list of songs, Johnny, night music. They gave me, again, About You. I'm drawing blanks right now. Sailors of Fortune. The list goes down the line. And, of course, when the first gig, we did everything but what they sent me. And so it was, and I never really had contact with Henry, but the fun part about it, the first time Henry and I met each other, we knew right away we were brothers. And ever since then, he and I would be on stage, and when Cecilio would be doing his rap with the audience, Henry would look back and give me the hand over the mouth like he's yawning. And then, of course, I'd laugh, and then C would turn back and look at me, and I would get in trouble for it. But, I'm thankful that you guys are back bringing that music back to life, because that makes I get melancholy. I get sad when I hear songs like that, songs like You and so on. So with that said, welcome to that situation. But now let's talk about the other iconic band from Hawaii called Kalapana. And with Gaylord and newly rejoined Michael Paulo. How is that? What's the vibe, especially with you're doing all the Mackie Ferry parts? How does that feel, man? How does the audience accepting John Valentine, a.k.a. Mackie Ferry?
I've been getting a lot of great response. When I sing Mackie Ferry, I actually knew Mackie Ferry. We actually hung out together, and he came over and he recorded on my Guitars of Hawaii Volume 2 that I produced years back, and he was out of jail that time for 6 months, so he was clean. But so we got to know him, and he's just a sweetheart, And then so when I perform, this might sound funny, but I actually close my eyes and picture his face and remember the good times that we had. And when I phrase his style, I try to emulate. I mean, I'm not impersonating him at all. There's nobody that can impersonate anybody. But I just try to emulate the lyrics that he wrote. And a lot of people don't know, but he wrote like those songs 17 or 16, and they're so innocent sounding lyrics, you know. So I just try to emulate the feelings what the lyrics is all about. So anyway, before we go on to Kalapana, I wanted to talk about the Henry Kapono. So 2 years ago, I was in Kalapana. We were invited to perform with Henry at the back in the day concert at Waikiki Shell. So backstage, he's sitting down in front of me. I said, "Hey, your dressing room is on the other side." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Nah, there's too many people over there." And then I said, "Hey, anyway, I know it's been like, I think like 2 years now or 3 years that you haven't done the C&K stuff. But if you ever want to do that, I am your man." So he looked at me like, "What? What do you mean?" I said, "I'm singing Mackie Fury stuff in, Kalapana. So C&K stuff is easy. I learned all the songs in the 8th grade." So he said, "Okay, I'll consider that." Then 6 months later, I got a text.
Yeah. I got a little bit of delay. I'm sorry, brother. Yeah, I mean, because for Henry to step back into that, we don't need to get into this, to the back stories of, the separation or the retirement of C, and just the fact that we want to bring it up, and just to think that Henry was going to even get back into C&K music. Because, John, you know as well as I do, when Henry's up on stage, and if you're seeing Henry with the Wild Hawaiians, if you're seeing Henry with, the Rough Riders, he'll always say, "This next time we're going to do is one of my favorite bands." And it's always Cecilion Kapono. And when let me ask you a question, you were talking about Kalapana. Let's step back and let's stay with the music of C&K. And I know this is going to be a hard question, but give me an honest answer. When you're looking at your set list, I don't know if it's either strapped to your mic stand or if it's on the floor on your wedge or whatever. When you look at that set list, because I know Henry tries to like to mix it up, but when you're looking at that set list, is there a song that you smile because you know you can't wait to sing it? What song is that? Share it with the audience.
Probably A Lifetime Party and what's the other song? About You. And you know what? I can't even select any. They're all so good. Night Music, the harmonies on that. Oh my God. It's nice to see people getting chicken skin. I mean, they're like goosebumps touching their neck, and like as soon as they hear the harmonies, because with Blaine and Alex on top singing the high parts, because they got young voices. And I told Henry that my voice is more like a cello and a saxophone, because to me, when you hear Henry and Cecilia, they were like two trumpets. Very much. So with my voice, it actually thickened it, and then with the Alex and Blaine, it just covered it so beautiful.
I mean, think about it for a second. Think about all the babies that were conceived to the song About You. I mean, think about it. It's almost like, out here, it's how many kids were conceived to the music, So Very Hard to Go, or You're Still a Young Man. I mean, these are songs that we grew up with, and that whole background of the situation where my favorite song, I won't let you ask the question. I'll answer it myself. But my favorite song that makes me smile is the song that Henry wrote for his dad, Jack.
Oh, yeah.
Sailor. And his dad never sailed. His dad never smoked. His dad never drank. But that whole thing about, sailing is just, there's just certain parts where that harmonica comes out in the beginning. You know what that's going to start, and so on. And songs like, which I love is I'm the Only Man.
Oh, yeah.
And so on. I don't want to turn this into a C&K hour. I want to jump back into this, man, because the whole fact of the matter is, You've breathed life back into historic music, in my personal opinion. But I want to go back into something also, because the bottom line is I'm getting messages left and right here. People look at you and they say, "Man, he looks really, really familiar." Then all of a sudden they start reading about John Valentine. And John, there's something that I'm going to bring up now, because you can't run from this. You've got to be eternally grateful because you are the responsible party for this. You have a nephew by the name of Peter Hernandez. And you may not know who Peter Hernandez is, but if you ever saw a movie called Honeymoon in Vegas, with Sarah Jessica Parker and what's the brother's name? And I
was supposed to be in that. I was supposed to be one of the flying out.
Flying Elvises, exactly.
Yeah, the Flying Elvises, but it turned it down, so I didn't want to jump out of a plane.
Yeah, but your nephew made it, and your nephew, at the little age of, I think, 4 years old, when he did the Elvis impersonation, which is partially your fault, his name is Bruno Mars. And and if you don't know who Bruno Mars is, then you've got to crawl out from under that fucking rock you're living under. I got to tell you, brother, and I'm not going to turn this into a Bruno Mars hours, but I am a massive fan of this young man because he's real. He plays everything that you grew up with musically. He emulates everything. He's not impersonating anybody. But when Elton John stated the fact that Bruno Mars could quite possibly be the new Michael Jackson, I mean, those are some serious shoes to fill. But I want to ask you this question: when the pictures of you holding Bruno as a baby, and he was doing the Elvis impersonations and so on, and that was all cute and this, that, and the other. But when we come back on the next set, because I'm looking at the clock winding down, I want to know, you as a professional musician, when you knew that he had quote unquote it, and if you knew when you sat back in the wings, and listening to him perform, even not too long ago when he joined you at a local club in Honolulu, and we just watched that. My wife and I watched that last night again. Your voices, I mean, the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. You guys are virtually. Your voices are very much alike. And then we'll talk about the rest of the family. And then also, too, I want to, I know it's been 3 years, but, the loss of your sister. And that just shocked the living hell out of me. And so on. That's why every day is a gift, my brother. Every day is a gift.
Oh,
and
totally.
my mom always said, if it's not health related, it's all bullshit. So with that said, guys, I'm having a great time. I'm looking at 1,000 notes right now. I do want to jump back into the realm of Waikiki because I know we've crossed paths. I'm going to bring some stuff up to you. We're going to talk about some food. We're going to talk about the Ono grinds, you guys. Because believe me, even though I'm Italian, man, but I am a Kanaka Italian. I'm definitely, I know the grinds, man. When I get my pidgin English going, you're going to hear it. So with that said, guys, I don't want anybody to go anywhere. I want you guys to get yourself some lilikoi. I want you to get yourself some lao or some poke, whatever it is. But when we come back on the second segment of this amazing interview, I feel like I'm back in the islands right now. Maybe we should turn up the humidity. We'll be fine. Guys, don't go anywhere. This is Jackie Bertoni. The group is called Jackie's Groove, and the station is called Intertalk Radio Network. You're on to All Things Music, and my in-studio guest today, living legend from Hawaii, Valentine. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the short message. Stay tuned. Shaka.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
The Moyer Entertainment Group, in conjunction with Daddario, Radio Airplay, and Looploft, is keeping music in our local schools and presenting local talent to the world through the Temecula Valley Music Awards. Submissions for entry into the TVMA 2017 season are now open in all genres, including a youth category for artists under 18 for the October 7th Star-Studded Awards Show, where 100% of the proceeds go towards supporting local music education in the Temecula Valley. Details, tvmawards.org.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
Todd Zuckerman from the rock band Styx, and you're listening to my pal Jackie Bertoni on Jackie's Groove. Groove on, motherfuckers.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome back, man. Let me just tell you, I wish I could have just one more time with my brother that's on the radio right now. His name is John Valentine. That song I have listened to, John, on a loop. I love the vibe. I love the background vocals. I got to tell you, I got to grab myself in the crotch to even think about getting that high of a note, man. And it's just so beautiful. You know, guys, welcome back. This is Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Talk Radio. You're into all things music. John, real quick, when you guys can't listen to our show live, do yourselves a favor. Do us a favor. Go on to iTunes or Google and download our easy-to-use and navigate application called Intertalks, first word, radio second, so you can take Jackie's Groove and the plethora of other shows that we have on our network on the go with you when you can't listen live. But right now is live. Brother John, you know what? I think about all the situation, about everything that you've done, and so on. We talked about on the break about Hiroshima, the Kuramotos, who, people think that this is a band that was generated through Japan. Well, these boys were all raised in Boyle Heights. June Kuramoto, the koto player, she's the only one from Japan. And the fact is, you mentioned, you taught one of the singers to sing, and I asked the question, which one? Because they've had 5 singers through the duration of that. Who was the girl that you taught?
Yvette Nii. She's been taking voice lessons since she was 15 from me, and right after high school, I actually produced a CD that we both were in. It's called Power of Two. And Hiroshima was looking for a singer, and her friend Tom played the CD to them, and they said, well, we got to have this girl. So then she moved to L.A. and joined the band. So I congratulate her. She's doing really good now.
Man. They're still, and they're still viable. They're still working, out there. I was working heavily with them at the time during the albums Adore, which means dance, and also, and Go, which means 5. And, the only thing I couldn't deal with that is at the end of the gig, they had this huge vat of warm sake, and I couldn't stand it, man. I mean, but that was the part of me going into my second generation, third generation of Japanese. Hey, we talked on the break, and we talked in the last segment. I have to get this because I want to open it, I want to close it, because, here, I don't know what it is that is grown in the Philippines. In the way of food or water or soil, that the immense talents and all the people that I work with in the Philippines, Martin Nivara, Sharon Cuneta, Gary V. I'm the only Tagalog Italian, but the fact of the matter is, from that situation and singers like Sharice, her voice. I mean, and it's sad, and this is why I say it's sad. The American public, and I'm an American, God bless us and everything, and tongue in cheek, if you will, but we never get the credence. The Asians, Filipinos, the people of yellow skin never get the credence of performers. Think about all the great talent. It's sad because they're not accepting it, even as much as help that Sharice had with David Foster. Yeah. America never really accepted her voice. And I don't understand why that is. I'll never will understand it. I don't want to break it down and try to figure out why. But the fact of the matter is, what is it that's in the air that the Philippine community, what is it that you guys, I haven't met one untalented person.
Music is such a big part of our lives. Ever since we were kids, when used to watch my father invite my uncles over, and they would just sing songs and drink beer and just sing songs. And when we moved to Hawaii, whenever there's a party, we all gathered. We didn't have karaoke machines or anything like that. We all played an instrument. In fact, till today, when there's a party, everybody comes over my house. That's why I wish you could see my Skype. I'm in a studio right now, and I was going to show you all my instruments. And so I have all this bass. And so when we have a party, everything's ready to go. There's a drum set, there's a piano, there's bass amp. You just plug in and just play. We do that
and you
all
brought that
the
up,
time.
And you brought that up about drum set. I want to also give you credence, give you kudos, and give you props, as they say, because one of the big inspirations for Bruno's brother, better known as Eric or E Panda, that's Bruno's drummer, and Uncle. Uncle. I was ready to choke here for a second. Excuse me. And Uncle Johnny is the one that gave this kid the chops. When did you realize the fact? Because I think he started playing drums about at the age of 14. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, he played at 9 actually, but Peter Hernandez, the father, put him in the show, but he was playing to a double drum track. So there was a drum track, but there was no bass in it. So me and my partner Pat Miguel, we used to put the music together, and then we gave him a click track. That's why if you watch Eric today, his timing is impeccable.
Like a machine.
Sometimes, like a machine. So he knows how to listen to a click track. And I used to tell him, like, if you can hear the click track, that means you're off. If you don't hear it, that means you're on.
Absolutely.
And then he understood that after that. Then he used to, but I'm not responsible for his drumming because his father was an incredible percussionist. In fact, Peter Hernandez was one of the most used percussionists on the island. And he was on, what's that song? Hawaiian Eyes, and a lot of recordings. And then he became the percussionist for the Al Harrington Show, and that's where he met my sister, Bernie. And she was the main hula dancer for the Al Harrington Show, and Peter was
that but the Al Harrington Show, was that the one you're talking about? Was that the one in the marketplace?
No, that was on Polynesian Palace on Lure Street. And
right by the outrigger.
Yeah, so on the break, I was actually working across the street at the Waikiki Broiler as a duo with Pat at Night Splendor. And after that, I was at the Moana, and then that's when Peter and Bernie was courting, and they used to come to my gigs all the time. And then, finally every kid was born, and then as soon as Bruno was born, my sister could sing well, but she handed it to me, hand Bruno to me, said, "Teach him everything you know, please." So I would actually babysit Bruno on a weekly basis, and I have ukuleles, and he was playing, and I taught him how to. By the time he was 2, he was actually singing in tune at 2 years old. Crazy, so at 3, when he was 3.5, the Lovenotes show, which I was in. See, Peter Hernandez was a wrestling fanatic. I gotta go back a little bit. That's why he named me John Valentine, which was a famous wrestler. And Bruno was Bruno Sammartino, which is another famous wrestler. So that's how we got our names. Anyway, back then I used to be the heartthrob of the group. Today I'm just throbbing. But anyway, so we got an offer to open up a show at the Sheraton in Japan. It was supposed to be a 3-week engagement, but they loved us so much they extended us to almost 3 months. So we're in Japan. After 3 weeks, we're making such good money, we decided to bring the whole family. So Peter and Bernie brought all the kids, brought my mother, and that's when it started. I taught Bruno how to move like Elvis because I was the Elvis impersonator. And I did a little bit of the Michael Jackson impersonation in the show. And so so by the time we came back from Japan, Bruno was mimicking everything I did on stage, even the way I bow.
Where you said that when you lifted your left side of your mouth, he lifted his right side of his mouth.
Exactly. Even the moves. Yeah.
It's crazy. You bring up the Polynesian Palace, and shame on you, because I did a few things over there, and Henry and I, we were doing the nights when Charo was there, if you remember how that goes. And then also John Medeiros. I don't know what happened to, am I saying that right? John Medeiros? Not, or
I think
Glenn
so.
Medeiros.
Glenn
Medeiros. Yeah. And so on at that. But let's talk about for a second, because, the bottom line is that everything's based around family and eating. I mean, we've been, that's being the Italians. I don't know who eats more, Italians or Hawaiians. But the fact is, as much as I love Hawaiian food, you will never see me eat boy. Never, ever will I even go anywhere near the taro root. But I'll tell you, man, when it comes down to lau lau, when it comes down to poke, and all that itself, even the Okinawan festival over at, Kapiolani Park, and the Okinawan donuts. I can't tell you how many times we got sick to our stomach having a gallon of milk, playing with C&K over across the street at the Waikiki Shell, and so on. But talk about food. Here's some blast from the past. I remember when Zippy's was just a hole in the wall. Now they're full chain restaurants. And how about this for pizza? Magoo's on Kalakaua. Yeah, and all that itself. And even places like the newest restaurants out there that I love, of course, the CPKs and the likes. But is there a place that you find to this day, John, that when you just want some good grinds, and I'm not talking about home, but when you jump in the car, where do you head?
Sometimes I'm doing 2 gigs in one day, and so I perform at the Moana in the daytime, and then maybe I work at the Hilton at night or something. On my break, I go to my favorite kitchen. That's what it's called. So it's right by Rainbow Drive-In. And what they specialize in is they took all the best recipes that Hawaii had to offer, like that rotisserie chicken from Haleiwa, the waffle dogs that Casey Drive-In used to make, from scratch. They have poke bowls. They have pipicalas. They even have things from Rainbow Drive-In. So, and it's right beside Rainbow Drive-In. So, and the prices are cheap. And they have shave ice. They got everything that Hawaii had to offer. So that's my favorite place that I go to now.
And for all the haoles out there, that's non-Hawaiians, when he's talking about, poke is just the most beautiful purplish colored salmon with sesame seed and, shredded lettuce and, at least that's the way I eat it and so on. But I remember places Henry would take me to places like, here's a name that you probably haven't heard for a while, Hihing. Great. And also, my favorite place, and still there, is Ono's. If you want food where you look at it, my wife goes there, me, Henry, and Kaleo, Henry's middle daughter. Every bite we would take, my wife would look over and go, "What's that?" And Henry's response is, "Shut up, just eat it." And it was like, and we would have all these things. But let me just tell you something. The guy you're talking to right now, John, Jackie Bertoni, Italian-Armenian. What other kid that you know that grew up and loved, couldn't wait to go back to the islands to see checkers and pogo? that's going back in the day, that whole situation, and it's amazing because I'm trying to remember the name of the guy that has the big salsa band that used to play at the Esprit Lounge.
Rolando Sanchez.
Rolando Sanchez, yes. And I don't know if he's still doing it, man, but that was when I would go there, I would jump on stage, play timbales with him and so on. There's such a huge dichotomy of music in that. But I want to jump back for a second here. When you growing up through the family speakers, what were your inspirations in Hawaii? What was coming through the speakers that really motivated you?
Kalapana and C&K.
Really?
Yeah. That, and I was so into Santana. I play a lot of his songs. And it's something Latin, I guess, because I'm Spanish and Filipino, so there's some kind of like the cha-cha stuff, that I like.
Exactly.
So a lot of Kalapana.
It's amazing when you look back at your family. I mean, I'm the only musician in my family, the only one. But when I look at your family, between Bruno and his 6 siblings, and and that would be Tierra, Tahiti, Jamie, and Presley, and then Eric, and then Bruno. It's just amazing because you guys had a band. You guys had a football team. That's the whole, the whole basis there. But let me ask this question, brother, is as notable as you are, and I know that everybody associated with, Bruno, family and such, Bruno has always put his best foot forward by saying, you're not going to ride on my coattails, because the way your family was raised, just going back in history for me reading up, is that you guys have always been standalones. You've always been, self-motivators and so on. But I have to ask you this question. How many times when the correlation becomes from John Valentine or Johnny Valentine, and then this / Bruno's uncle, do you catch yourself smiling inside, getting a fuzzy feeling inside, or how many times do you turn your head and roll your eyes? And I don't mean that as a negative situation, but do you fall? You know where I'm going with this. I mean, you got to assume that Bruno's opened some doors, or has he? Go ahead.
I don't know about opening. I guess he did open some doors because now people are seeing, what I do. But because I was never on a national, I guess a worldly figure. But not that I'm
yet.
But I think when they see a video of me and him together, as far as when he was as a kid, I wasn't trying to teach him to be a superstar or anything. I was just being a good uncle, That's what you do with little kids,
of course,
that have passion. But there was something about Bruno that was just so different from all the kids that, because every time we have a Thanksgiving party, all my brothers are in the living room watching football. All the women would be in the kitchen cooking or whatever. And I would be outside with all the kids playing. So I was like that uncle that played with all the little kids. And then, and I remember Bruno stuck out so much because I guess when he was that young, he was idolizing what I was doing because I did make the audience, respond differently when I came out on stage. And so he loved that so much that when we were partying, he would have I would give him a fake microphone and teach him a little bit of moves. And so I think when people do ask me, or just say, oh, this Bruno's mom's uncle, inside I kind of laugh because they have no idea what we...
Johnny, I'm going to interrupt you right now because I want you to hold that thought because we're going to come into the final segment. That's perfect. This is a good segue into the next segment. On segment number 3 on Jackie's Groove, we're going to talk all about, we've got the history of Bruno. We've got the history of C&K. I want to know, the listeners want to know worldwide, what's on your plate, what's coming up for you. And this whole last segment is going to be still about family, still about the business, but it's all about John Valentine and how to stock you, how to put some money in your pocket. It's all about promotion. So with that said, guys, Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, the Talk Radio Network, indulging music with Mr. John Valentine. Guys, don't go anywhere. Final segment coming up right around. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on InterTalkRadio.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Michael McDonald, and you're listening to my good buddy Jackie Bertoni on Jackie's Groove.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome back to the final segment of Jackie's Groove. Guys, you know who this is? It's Jackie Bertoni. You know who I'm interviewing? John Valentine. You know who this is brought to you by? Intertalk Radio Network. You're into all things music. Johnny, I'm having a great time, but I am going to tell you one time, when we get together, I'm going to school you on percussion, brother. I'm going to take your hands off the drums, put them back on guitar where they belong, and you and I are going to get into serious shaker groove, conga, montono, a tumbao, whatever it may be. Let's school each other on that, man. And cool. And in fact, when we got off last time, man, we talk about family, we talk about inspirations, and who has inspired us, who we've inspired. And as I always say, it takes a village. We are not standalones on our own, even though we're motivated. And I come from a great crew, man. I've got my girls, Megan and Candy. I've got Cedric, which you just talked to online. I've got Paul, the COO, and also the engineer. And my brother from the quintessential other mother, another Filipino. I don't know what the hell's in the water here, man. But he's called the CEO of our network. And his name, get this name. You want to talk about a wrestler's name? Florentino Buenaventura. He's either a porn star or he's a wrestler. One of the two itself. But what I can tell you about this man is that he keeps this crazy ship going. So hopefully he's in the studio. I know he was en route. So I'm going to try to put this out there. Florentino, if you're out there, man, please say hi to John. John, please say hi to Florentino.
Hi, Florentino. Great, man. Boy, you sound like a wrestler.
I'm built like a wrestler. I wish
there you go.
I should get a new business. Just call me Rock Jr. Right?
There you go.
So yeah, I'm seeing your face here. Cool. I don't know if you remember we met at Henry's last show here in San Diego. I had my crew. Yeah, we came out and greeted you with Alex and all those other folks. That's nice. Our CFO. So. Thanks very much for being on the network, man. This is really, really a big honor.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I grew up, actually, I'm half Filipino, half, I'm Hapahali, as they say in the islands. And my Filipino side was very Hawaiian, so I grew up with a lot of the tunes of Henry and Kalapana and just a lot of the Hawaiian sounds. And, it's I think Jackie was mentioning it earlier on the shows that these are the songs that really touched our hearts, and appreciate you carrying on this legacy and also making new stuff. So that is an amazing thing. So with that said, this segment and this show is about Johnny Takeover. So tell us a little bit. How can we find out more about you? Websites, URLs. Can they reach you by smoke signals? I don't know, man. How can we find out more about Johnny?
Well, everything is on my thank God my wife is managing me now. And she's been doing everything, blogging, everything on my website. So if you go to johnvalentinehawaii.com, there's a mention about being on the show today. And there's also my calendar and my tour schedule. Everything's on that website. And as far as all the URLs, it'll take you to where all my CDs are, located. I'm in Highland Heritage, and I'm also on CD Baby. But if you go to my website, johnvalentinehawaii.com, it has everything on there. So that's what makes it easier.
Wow. Well, very cool. Or go out to the shows. You know, when you're coming out this way on Kalapana, we're definitely all going to be out there, because we like to fondly say that once you've been on Jackie's show, you've been jumped in, and you have to be jumped out to not be part of the family.
Yeah.
So,
And, you know, and Florentine, I'm going to jump in here real quick. I talked to Michael Paulo last night, and because we're neighbors, we're 5 minutes from each other, and I had said, I've got Johnny coming on, and when he responded by saying, "Hey, bro," he goes, "I don't know John." He goes, John joined Kalapana, after I rejoined and so on. And he said, "Are you going to come to Belly Up?" I said, "Well, definitely come to Belly Up." But Tino, let's help out our family from Hawaii. Let's see if we can get these shows booked up and sold out, like we've been successful with Aldi Meola and the Rough Riders and so on. And let's see if we can help out Kalapana. Are we willing to do that, John? Are you willing to accept our help?
Oh, yeah, please do.
Putting it out there on social media, and then also maybe even getting a chance to talk to Gaylord, who was my boy. He's done more engineering on music that I've recorded with Henry over the years. And I'll let you and Florentino talk about that. Maybe even do something prior to the show at the Belly Up. Maybe get a chance to sit down and do an interview with the band, and
that'd be awesome.
Go from there. Okay, and we're all about promotion. So Florentino, I love you, man, but you got to get off my show. I know it's your network. Your $20 has already been chosen. So I love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
Johnny, say goodbye to Florentino.
Hey,
say
thanks,
goodbye to
Florentine.
Johnny, take care, man. Have a great rest of your show.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
I'll talk to you a little bit, Flo. Okay, so Johnny, let me ask you this question, man. You're not a spring chicken, either am I. You've been around the business for a long time, or the lack thereof business. I ask this to all the notables out there, and I want your opinion on this, even though you're on an island in the middle of the sea. But you still are, there's major talent that comes out of Hawaii. We are the 50th state. But my question to you, do you, John Valentine, understand the music business as it sits today, or the lack thereof, or do you believe the word music and business shouldn't share the same line? Do you understand what's going on right now? Are you optimistic? Are you pessimistic? Share with us, would you?
I'm optimistic. I think it's a musician's world right now. I know there's a lot of free downloads and everything, but because of the internet, you can actually produce your own things and be an indie artist. And I think the problem with that too, though, is that you do have a lot of crappy stuff that's coming out because everybody has their own style of music, but not one crappy to one person might be genius to another person. I'm looking at my kids and the stuff they're coming out with. I just don't get, but they have followers, and I'm just blown away. So I guess there's room for all type of music, and so it is our time right now for the artists, because you can record something right now and put it on Facebook, and people will listen to
John,
it.
Let me talk to you. I'm talking to a gentleman on the line right now, John Valentine, who all understands harmony, melody, and such. I don't understand. I don't want to sound like our parents, but why do the young millennials that are putting music out today, they forgot a thing called the bridge? And it's true. There's no arc in the music. There's nothing that we can lead into. Again, I don't begrudge anybody, and I've said this over and over, till I'm blue in the face. But you can't be a star by sitting in front of a monitor on a thing called YouTube. Justin Bieber, disposed that myth. But I have always said this, and hopefully you'll believe in this also. I believe the only way to be relevant and stay relevant in this industry is to hear the word no, to have a few doors slammed in your face, and also, to get cut up and get bruised, to find out the wherewithal and to be a true road dog. And so with that said, as we're getting older itself, when you're going on, again, you're doing 2 gigs a day. When you said Moana, you're talking about the original Moana Hotel, right? Out in the under the big, I don't want to call it the how tree or whatever it may be out there.
The banyan tree,
Banyan tree. Okay. So with that said, as we're going along, what does John Valentine do to keep his voice in check versus what you did before, or is it just natural for you to keep singing?
It's just natural for me because I perform 6-7 days a week, and sometimes up to 13 gigs a week. So and people ask me, why do you have to gig so much? Because I can, and I love to, and I actually pace myself. I don't, like, if I know I have something big tomorrow, I'm not going to blow my voice out tonight. But when I see Bruno, that's the part that kind of, people always ask me, you must be so proud. And I'm like, yeah, it's beyond that. He's like a target. So I actually pray for him more than being proud. And then he actually listened to me. I told him, when you go to your touring schedules, make sure you tell your management that you want to perform 2 concerts and then a day off, and then 3 concerts and then 2 days off. And then, keep it that way. You don't want to be burnt out like Steve Perry with Journey and all of a sudden start losing your voice. So if you look at his schedule, he actually listened to me and did that way, because his songs are so brutal. And speaking about the bridge, that's why Bruno sticks out, because he is actually writing intros, verse, chorus. This 4-chord generation is hopefully it's finally phasing out, because it's been 4 chords for the past 10 years now, and it's kind of monotonous.
Yeah, I know.
So
but look at someone like Carlos Santana, who made millions playing 4 chords. And it's like
2 chords.
Yeah, 2 chords, and that came from Al Di Meola himself. So that's a next show on the next Oprah show. We'll talk about that. Hey, brother, I have to ask you a question here, and this is important to me to ask. You growing up, you being everything music from the time that you came out of Mama's womb to this, as we speak right now. But if John Valentine wasn't playing music, wasn't involved in music, period, what would John be doing today?
Boy, I never even, I don't know.
Think about it.
Because I've been singing since I was 6. I mean, as far as memorizing songs, my dad said I had the Beatles memorized at 6 years old. Probably as a Filipino, yard work.
And that's for the Latin community out here in the West Coast. So I can, well, it's an honest answer, man. It's an honest answer. It's a tough question, because everybody I've asked this question to has said the same thing you did. They took a 2-beat. And a lot of people even said I would be a psychologist. Some people said I would die. I don't know. No one's ever asked that question to me, because I don't know, man. I mean, it's always
I don't know.
DNA. And along that same line of questions, and that's a fair answer if there was one at all. But let me ask you this question. Of all the years you've had music-wise and so on, I want you to think hard, because I know to this day what song it was for me. But where were you, and what were you thinking and doing the first time you heard yourself on the radio?
Oh, I was in the car, actually, and I was driving, and remember when those phones used to come out with it? You had to actually strap it on and then had a cord.
Of course.
And my friend called me up and said, "Hey, you're on the radio." I said, "What?" So they were playing the Lovenotes. Actually, before that, I had Peter Hernandez, Bruno's father, produced this 45, and they had it's called "Close Your Eyes." I hope nobody digs that out. But
too late.
I was like, exactly. I was like 20 years old, I think. And so, yeah, it felt good, but it wasn't that thrilled, because it wasn't my choice of song to produce.
But still, the fact of it, because I've asked this question to everybody. Every show I've asked this. And my good friend of mine, Saida Garrett, who a great songwriter, Michael Jackson's writer for a song called "Man in the Mirror." And when I asked that question to her, she said to me that she was on the 405 freeway here in Southern California. She had to pull off because she couldn't see the road from her tears. Then she said, "What about you, Jackie?" And I said, "I remember like it was yesterday. I was in Newport Beach at Fashion Island picking my wife up for lunch. And Talaya, the girl I told you before that you heard on my bumper music, the voice of the Academy Awards, the Golden Globes, and the Grammys, she put on a song that was one of her favorites at the time and still one of my favorites to this day, a song by a gentleman by the name of Michael McDonald, and a song and a singer by the name of Henry Capono, and a song on Henry's album called "Same World" and the title track, "Same World." And I got to tell you, I cried. I mean, if someone looked at me, they were going to go, who is this big mahu in the car crying his ass off? But it was that, and to this day, being blessed to have worked on so many great hits, when I can be anywhere in a bathroom coming out of McDonald's on the way to Las Vegas and hear the music. Before I would scream, but now as a 57-year-old man, I kind of stop, I smile, and I thank the dear Lord above that it's still out there, man, because the bottom line is, what we do is very special. We hope that through our music and through our music now, we're not so much protesting anymore as we used to do back in the 70s and such, but we can do a protest through music. We can always do or put our best foot forward to help those in need. The Kukua festivals throughout Hawaii, to help those, and the thing that Henry's doing right now for raising money for these victims of Harvey and Irma. It doesn't cost us anything but our time to go out and put our best foot forward. And and Brother John, as I said before, I become a fan, and I want all the listeners out there, do yourselves a favor, go on to YouTube, type in John Valentine, Bruno Mars. How long ago was that Bruno joined and surprised the audience? What club were you at in Honolulu that he came out and sang just the way you are?
It was funny. I just got off work and I was at some club, and then I got a text that said, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the Ilikai Chart House. Meet me in the parking lot." So I met him in the parking lot, and then we're walking in. As soon as we walk in, I forgot who was singing. It was Gordon Freitas. He announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, look who just walked in, John Valentine. Oh my God, it's Bruno Mars too. Let's get him on stage." And I'm like, "What the hell? I just walked in." And then now
so that wasn't
stage.
Your gig.
No. So we walked in. That's why Bruno dressed up like that. He didn't want to be recognized. And then, Bruno asked me, "So what should I do?" I'm like, "Dude, do your hit song, but let's do it like local style." And then, so we did that. And then he was telling me, do the first verse, do the first verse.
Yeah, man. You guys have got to check this out because, again, I said the apple doesn't fall too far from the trees. Their voices are beautiful together. And,
thank you.
The sad thing about this whole situation, Brother John, is that we are out of time. And, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart, man, for like Florentino said earlier, you've been jumped in. There's no getting out. And so what I'm going to do right now is when we get off the air, I'm going to share all your information with Florentino, and I'm going to let the CEO of the network see what we can do to help promote Kalapana and to give back for everything that you guys have done for us. We're eternally grateful. And so with that said, guys, I want you to go to johnvalentinehawaii.com, stock this man, buy his music. Don't steal his music. In fact, do me a favor, stop stealing fucking music, period, guys. We're not doing this for our health. We have a mortgage above our head. So with that said, guys, I want everybody to say thank you to Mr. John Valentine. John, the Bertoni family, the family of Intertalk Radio, we say thank you, brother. We say like we have no idea. Big mahalo to you. And
mahalo,
guys,
brother.
Just say thank you back, man. And the doors are always open here at the Casa Bertoni, man. So with that said, guys, say goodbye to John Valentine. This is Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. You're into all things music. And as I say to Henry all the time, John, right on. Love you, man.
Love you too, man. Thanks again.
God bless, brother.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on? Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps.